This is IA Forward, your playbook for success as an independent insurance agent. Here to help you knock it out of the ballpark are your hosts, Shane Tatum and Tonya Lead.
Welcome to IA Forward. Shane, there's a phrase that we hear sometimes when we're talking to people that are thinking about starting an agency, and it is, I'm just too old to start over.
Totally disagree. Maybe there is an actual point in time where that's true, but that number keeps rising for me. I don't know if it's just because my number personally keeps rising or if it's like, 60 doesn't feel old anymore. And matter of fact, 70 still feels pretty young in some cases. I just don't have that same feeling that maybe I used to have around this whole idea that I'm just too old to start over.
I can see the perspective, especially when you're in a situation where you've worked really hard to build this exclusive agency and you feel trapped because you have put so much of your time and your energy and your money and you've built this. And I can see that even though you're miserable, it feels like it's too hard to walk away. But you really want to because you're miserable.
There's a different question there. It's a true statement that you're really never too old to start over. But that's really maybe the wrong question in my mind. The question is, are you willing to put the effort in that starting over is going to take? Or do you have the energy to start over? Because that's a real situation the older we get. I run into people from time to time. It's like, I just don't want to work that hard. And I say, okay, I get that. I understand that statement of I'm 55 and I just don't want to work that hard for the next 10 years, so I'm just going to stay where I'm at. Fair enough. But man, I should have started in my 20s and now I'm 46 and no, I don't agree with that. That's not the reason to say that I'm too old to start over. I'm a big believer that I'm just getting started at 49. I'm the guy that feels like I've got energy, health stays good. I see a decade, 2 decades of energy right now. Now, I don't know if that feels the same 10 years from now, but as far as my visual and my feeling and like, okay, my energy's higher than it probably has ever been. I just don't know that I can get my head around, I'm just too old to start over.
I think so much of it is mindset too. Sometimes when you are so incredibly miserable in your situation, you have no energy because you're just trying to survive. And the idea of trying to create something new or do something different is absolutely overwhelming because you're in the habit of being miserable. And if you can somehow break out of that thought process, then the energy will be there as soon as you start on that path towards something new.
Yeah, an energy-sucking environment doesn't feel good. And you're nailing it there in the sense that that's probably the core problem. That's a foundational issue, is your misery is the energy-sucking thing. And it is refreshing. We see this a lot with agents that either producers that finally hit this wall and they're like, I just think I need to be an agency owner. I want to own my own agency. Well, if they stay in that producer role because it's safe, because I don't want to work that hard, whatever, they end up being miserable. And I think it's the same thing for that 20, 25-year experienced agency owner from the captive exclusive side of the channel. They may have tons of energy underneath that surface, but it's hidden by feeling like they've been playing whack-a-mole or being hit over the head with things that really don't matter to their agency. There's a lot of things that happen in the exclusive channel, and I don't mean to bash or pick too much today, but
yes, you do.
You got to write 10 of these policies over the next 90 days or else. There's just these things that come up that really have nothing to do with the agency owner's profitability. At the end of the day, it's about recognition things. Yeah, but what did it do for your bottom line? It didn't do anything for your bottom line. It just won your field manager a trip. These are things that compress excitement. They're actually demotivating. They're meant to be motivating, but they actually are demotivating in a large corporate environment. It didn't really help that agency owner's profitability when it's all said and done. That's a big difference with the IE channel. Is I like to think about things through the lens of the agency profitability and agency long-term culture and health, and not what trip I can win this year. The trip winning stuff is the byproduct. It's the naturally occurring thing. It shouldn't be the motivating factor thing. Depressing or compressing that energy is the bigger issue, not age, not experience. Rekindling that passion for what you do.
Now, I just want to throw it in there. We are not anti-trip. We give trips away to our partner agents because that really does motivate some people. Some people have the motivation for excellence, that they want to be that top agency. So I want to make sure to clarify that while it's not Shane's favorite thing, it is something that we definitely do because we recognize for a lot of agency owners that recognition is really important.
I recognize that it is important to some people and it's a sales motivating thing, but I'm also in the business of saying, hey, I need you to move from salesperson to agency owner mindset. Those are different things. And yes, you're still going to be a salesperson. That's okay. I'm still a salesperson, but my motivating factors have changed. And that's what my perspective on this is here. Yes, we give trips away. Yes, we have incentives. Yes, we do things. And yes, we enjoy carrier trips that we win from time to time. All of these are excellent things, but they are not the pinnacle motivating item. So that's really my transition here that I'm pushing for. Is I want our folks that are either producers or exclusive captive agency owners, I want them to think about making that shift to independent agency owner, not just independent agency salesperson. That's going to come first. You're going to make the leap. You're going to continue in sales. There's going to be these things that are very familiar, things that are short-term motivators, trips, bonuses. All of these things are good, but they are not year in, year out book building, residual income building, retention building, wealth building things. These are, I did good this year, I did good this quarter, I won a trip, I got a bonus, fine, great, love it. Those things aren't going away. It's the finite game within the infinite game. We're not anti those things, but it's not the final motivating factor for an independent agency owner, in my view. It shouldn't be.
It's the icing on top of the cake.
It is. It's the byproduct. It's the icing on the cake. It's the, oh yeah, I won another trip this year. Because why? Because I'm successful foundationally over here. That's why I won the trip. That's why I made the profit sharing. That's why I made the bonus.
We've actually shifted our awards this year, our trips that we give away, to some things that are very ownership focused, looking at policy per client ratios and things like that. So we're making that shift within our organization to make sure the things that we are rewarding are the things that make an independent agency successful long term.
Yeah, I mean, the first decade of our program's existence, we were very traditional around sales. And as we transitioned to still have an element of that, book of business growth, that we wanted to add things in there that said, yeah, but I'm a $3.2 million personal lines agency that has a policy per customer ratio of 2.45. I'm year in, year out profitable, but my reality is I'm probably not going to grow at some incredible rate. Probably going to grow at 5 to 7%, not 25 to 35%. And what happens is you have agents that hit a certain level and they're continuing to grow. They're retaining at a high rate. They're not working as hard, and their standard of living is fantastic. So it's somewhat become a lifestyle business, and it can be a lifestyle business, and it can be done well. And it's okay for that particular type of agency to be recognized for their efficiency, for their quality of book, for so many things that aren't just sell. There are sales-focused, high-growth agencies that are not performing on a profitability level, as well as some slow growing agencies. So all of the high sales growth agencies get the rock star status, and we forget about these slow, steady, win the race, incredible, profitable agencies that exist across the country.
Going back to the original question of how old is too old to start over, when I look at our partner agents, those agents that are super profitable, for the most part, are those that started over a little bit older.
They've been there, done that. They've been the rock star sales guy, sales lady. They have done it, and they have been that 70-hour-a-week, constant hammering on it, grinding it out. And then they started over and went, I think there's probably a better way to do this. I can rebuild this thing. It's going to be tough for a couple of years. But then they started seeing this sort of leveling out, and 4 to 6 years in, it's like, wow, I'm at this certain mark and I'm happy. I don't need to do more. It's just this realization that I really understand today, and I didn't understand it at 25. I wanted to build a gazillion-dollar agency when I was 25. And I've changed. Life has changed. Things have changed. I'm happy to cheer on, support, and encourage the 25-year-old that wants to build a gazillion-dollar agency. Awesome. Go do it. But I'm also here to encourage that 40, 45, 50-year-old who wants to start over and not build a gazillion-dollar agency, but build a very stable, profitable, efficient, independent agency. I love both sides of that equation, and we have both sides of that equation in our organization today.
What are your thoughts on this situation? I have built this very successful exclusive agency. I really don't like the direction the organization is going. However, I really don't want to give it up. My spouse got their license recently, so I want to set them up with an independent agency and keep my exclusive agency, and then I've got the best of both worlds.
No, you don't. One of my core things is passion, and being passionate about what you do. There hasn't been a ton of success in this model, in this idea. It's been around for a long time. We don't encourage it. I don't think you can be passionate about two different models. You end up in this situation where somebody's going to get the attention. The one caveat to that, your spouse was in the agency with you and was an equal, passionate, rainmaker type person, and that spouse or that child, that they want to actually go set up and run independently and stand on their own 2 feet and run with it. Well, okay, that's different. But trying to have your toe in some different waters, dabbling in one place, somebody's always going to get your attention. Can't serve two masters type thing. I just don't feel that it works well. I just don't think that I've seen evidence that people have successfully done this.
We've talked about how old is too old. Let's talk how young is too young.
I have actually been thinking about this one for a little while, in the sense that I think that insurance needs to move more into the trade arena. That's an opportunity for us to bring in Gen Z folks, as there's a lot of folks that are questioning college. They're questioning the cost of college. They're trying to figure out the world, and they don't know if they want to go do, $100,000 in debt to get a degree that they're not really sure is going to turn out for them. So I'm kind of in this mindset right now where we're trying this idea with our local high school to shift into insurance as a trade and hire this high school graduate and train them up, and not discouraging them from going to college, always encouraging people to go further their education, but giving them an option for the ones that say, I just don't know that I want to go to college. I just think this may be an answer for me. At 18, 19 years old, you come in, you get 3 to 5 years, you maybe become a sales executive, maybe you do something as a producer in the agency, and you could be 23, 24 years old with 5 years experience. I think it's more about the experience than the age, the maturity than the age. I wouldn't be afraid of an early 20s something that's more mature, that has some experience and exposure to the insurance industry. That's not as scary to me than I've always run a bunch of businesses. I've had 12 different businesses. I'm 42 years old, and they're basically a serial entrepreneur that never stays anywhere very long. That person, I'm not sure is a great candidate to go start an insurance agency, because they're going to treat it like an investor mindset. And I just believe that an independent agency, captive agency for that matter, I just think it needs to be owner-operator driven by someone who's passionate about it. And that age thing is not as important as some experience and just the passion side.
I agree on the experience and passion side, but I also think there's a financial stability that has to be there.
It's not a tangible asset business. You're building a book, and the book is sellable. It's an asset, but the book is not as leverageable as a piece of property. It's not the same as going out and buying your first piece of rental property. If things aren't going well, you might can get somebody to loan you money on that. It's a hard asset, and then you can sell that generally. But you can go out, borrow money to start an insurance agency, not realize that you're a terrible salesperson and never sell anything.
Or that you're a great salesperson, but a bad business owner.
You can go the opposite side of that. The financial element on that is very true and has to be considered. I'm not a huge advocate of borrowing money to start something, borrowing money to buy a book of business so that you have some foundation. I'm okay with that, because now you have something. But literally having to borrow money to actually just pay yourself through borrowed funds, that doesn't feel good at all.
I've seen younger agents that have started their business, they're a year in, and they're putting second and third mortgages on their houses to try to maintain a lifestyle. And that scares the heck out of me. It's one of those things that I think going into it at whatever age that you are, making sure that you have a financial plan that goes along with your business plan, I think is really important at any age.
Your key word there to me is lifestyle. This idea of starting a business and I'm going to live as if I just got the best job in the world. My lifestyle's not going to change. That is definitely red flag status, and you need to be sort of shaken back into reality. There is going to be some financial pain starting a business. Either you've saved up and you're going to pull some funds there. Borrowing from 401k is a little different there for me. I see people have done that. But again, lifestyle needs to shift a little bit. Unless your experience and goal is to be a high net worth agent, because there's a little bit of an image thing there. It's not who I am. It's not me. I'm not going to do that. But there's certainly agents out there and opportunities out there to serve the high net worth clientele. Well, you kind of need to live in that world a little bit. So it's a little different. It's a very, very special niche area. That aside, you don't need to do things extra special. I know there's agents that I was quasi mentored by. I wouldn't call them that because I didn't agree with them, from the 80s and 90s. They thought it was extremely important to look the part. You and I have talked about this before, like the brand new vehicle, the house, you need to look successful in order to be successful. And I think the world's changed here on this one. From a personal insurance perspective, from maybe certain commercial levels, that's still the case. But I have a 10-year-old vehicle with 220,000 miles on my Toyota Tundra. It still cranked this morning. It got me to the office. Yes, sometimes I feel like I need to get a new vehicle, but it hasn't changed the success track, or it hasn't made me less impactful. Matter of fact, I was told the other day, I never thought about this, but I was told the other day by an individual that I really think it's cool that you have this old vehicle with 200,000+ miles when you could afford something different. And there's truth in that statement. We also live in a small town, and if I buy a new vehicle every 2 years and I am in this small town, that doesn't feel good either. There's other people in this town who are driving driving 10 and 15-year-old vehicles.
You're not pulling up in the new Maserati.
I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. And yes, my wife needs to be rewarded with the BMW that she dreams of and that she would love to have because she's always loved BMWs. And yes, I need to make that happen. But we've held off on things like that because it presents the wrong image in our view. It's not about that. That's the standard of living, lifestyle, keeping up with the Joneses. You don't have to be that to be successful. You don't have to try to do that. And when you're starting an agency, you don't need to do that because you need to put your efforts into the business. You need to be able to not pull all the money out of the business in the first 2 or 3 years, that sales effort. Let it reinvest it into the marketing side because you're going to get that opportunity down the road. Definitely have seen a lot of agents try to keep that same standard of living and it snowball on them. It just not work for them. And they really could have gone into the 3-year cycle, but they only made it 8 to 10 months because they didn't change their lifestyle.
Let's go back to our initial conversation of I'm too old to start over. Is this a mindset thing? Is this an energy thing? What would you say to someone to help motivate them past that?
It's an energy thing, and I think it's a what do you want thing. Why do you want to start over? If you need to be overly motivated to do something, to start over, well, then we need to understand why. Why are you struggling with this? Because you want to, because you're not happy, because you're miserable where you are. Because if it's just money, okay, and I know that sounds a little flippant because money's a big deal on this, right? But if it's just money, well, the money can probably be figured out. You may have to make some adjustments, but I think that's the thing that you can't let stand in your way, especially in a starting over thing. There's a difference between being 20, 25 years in, starting over, and having saved and put away, and you have this asset, and you kind of have this retirement percentage thing. Well, you could take a portion of that money, or you could, in that case, I'm going to contradict myself, you could take on some debt and leverage against that savings retirement element. If you got yourself in trouble, you not use that, not take that away, let it keep investing and earning, and make the money thing the non-issue. The thing that you have to really think about is if I'm that miserable, if I'm that non-energetic and non-passionate about something that I've always loved, there's a bigger problem there that you've got to get past. And what would happen if you had this freedom, you had this new refreshing thing? We're coming into spring right now as we're recording this. There's something exciting about this morning with clear skies, sun, still a little cool, and there's just something about spring. There's just something about baseball season and spring training and March and April. And well, how do you find that with your start over mindset? How do you find that? You got to go back to when you were happy, when you weren't miserable, and what was so exciting about it. And sometimes that new refreshing thing is really all you need to be set in front of you in order to find that passion and energy again.
I'm going to leave us today with this quote from Kobe Bryant. We can always kind of be average and just do what's normal. I'm not in this to do what's normal.
Attitude's a choice. Make a great one.
Bye, y'all.
Ready to get the ball rolling with your independent agency? Learn more at IntegraAgent.com. That's IntegraAgent.com. Thank you for joining us on IA Forward. Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now or learn more at IAForward.com.